you work a lot on healing, but a lot of my audience is also interested on thriving on a raw vegan diet, including building strength, building muscle, having performance. Do you feel there's a different diet for healing and for building, or are these the same?
I think chemistry is chemistry. And I think that diets are related to your awareness or lack thereof. You can't claim, there's no way you can claim cooking a piece of meat and eating it is healthy at any level. At any level. You want to eat dead animals, eat them raw. But same issue. There is nothing chemically, electrically, or anything healthy about dead animals for a frugivore, except the stress of the gut. These are acid ash foods. You got to realize a little deeper. Certain foods create, as you break down foods, they create an ash. And medical doctors think, oh, it doesn't matter because bicarbonate from the pancreatic duct will neutralize all acids. The problem is they're wrong. You can't convert a nitrogen element into a carbon element just with bicarbonate. That's insane. So you've got acid ash foods. Acid ash foods are your protein rich. That's your meats, your beans, your grains, pasteurized dairy products. These leave an acid ash in the body, like it or not. The World Health Organization has even looked into that. So you're absorbing an acid ash into the blood. Now, your blood doesn't deal with acids. So what does your blood do? That shocks the pH of the blood. So what does your body do with that? See, and that's where you lose the calcium. That's where you see all this going on. I work with Mr. Olympias. I work with bodybuilders. I mean, you see all what happens when you pump proteins. Mother's milk does not have, humans' mother's milk is less than 1% protein. 7.5% carbon, half of that lipids, and 0.89 protein. So where's this consciousness of, and now all the baby foods are being pulled off the shelves because they found that it's creating NEC in the babies, and NEC is necrosis of the small bowel. So the baby foods, because they think higher protein is essential, it's like, if you're a biochemist, then shouldn't you be looking at the mother's milks of humans and other species to compare so you'll know the truth? Or you're just making something out of your own theories and thoughts? And that's what's going on. The lies and the theories are just flying everywhere from the medical community, and none of them are true. So humans are compromising their health really bad by not understanding simple truths. You can make claims, you can go on these high meat diets and stimulate, but it's going to get you one of these days, I guarantee you. You might think you're getting away with those things, you're not. There's no regenerative value of dead tissue. I mean, it's electrical if it's raw, but if you look at Kirlian photography and you cook it, what happens to the electrical currents? And the same thing with any food, though.
Amazing. Yeah, I did a video a few months ago comparing that Kirlian photography and where you can see the difference between different ones.
Cool. Yeah,
it's very cool.
Do your own. I wanted to set it up here. I wanted to have a Kirlian photography set up here so we could test people, too. Before you start hydrating and going on a detoxifying diet, and your journey and what your auric and what your energetic fields look like during that process. Cool stuff.
Yeah, and as I know you're into consciousness also and the effect on the matter, that makes me think of another experiment. I don't know if you've done it, but it's Dr. Emoto's rice experiment, where you pray on water or you insert the water and you look at how it affects the rice in the water, or he also took microscope photos of how it affected the crystals. Have you done something like this? Have you tried it?
Not really. I mean, I've been sitting behind a desk helping people get well for 50 years. So I am glad to be out of clinicals, and now I can teach you guys. But I've had my own school for 30 years almost, and so I've been trying to teach everyone how simple it is to learn how to heal themselves. When I lived out in the woods as a hermit for about 2.5 years, and I lived as fruitarian, I physically never felt better. And I'm an old farm guy. I never physically felt better away from the dead animals, away from all that. The fruit I was on, but you have to realize the nature of the food you're eating. If you're buying fruit out of a grove that their awareness is not good. You're going to eat, our food sources are not higher consciously grown for the most part. Well, I was lucky enough to find a gentleman that was an out-of-body traveler that had an orange grove, and his oranges were nirvanic. You would eat them and go, oh, God, holy crap. And I could sit and eat a bushel basket at one time. It was amazing. But I was living in this little Volkswagen van, and I had to pee at night, and I had a jar, and I peed in the jar, and I set it up on this little sink thing. And then I get up in the morning, and I'd see this in it. I'd see this sediment in it. See that sediment in that urine jar? That thick sediment? But that thick sediment in your urine, if you take that to a medical doctor, you have an infection, and you're immediately put on some type of strong antibiotic. Wrong. This is your sewer system. If you have clear urine, you're in trouble. When I became a naturopath and then a biochemist, I started pulling blood work and urine work. And I kept seeing clear urine on these urinalyses. And I'm going, clear urine? Your urine can't be clear. That's your sewer system coming out. And sure enough, that's the problem. You lose filtration of this from your kidneys. And where does this go? Lymph nodes, around the cells. So this becomes cysts, tumors, you name it. You see it on Dr. Pimple Popper in this country that slices open external tumors, and you see this stuff coming out. This is dandruff. This is all kinds of stuff. This stuff is the stink under your skin, under your arms, between your legs, between your toes. This is sewage. This is acid sewage that has to get out. Imagine keeping this stuff every day around the cells. What's the cells going to do after a while? They're protected with cholesterol, but after a while, you're going to start breaking them down. So then medical doctors go after the cell. And it's like, what you do to one cell, guys, you do to all of them. So you can't kill cells because the cell's been damaged. You got to ask yourself, what's damaging that cell? There's only two sides of chemistry and only two systems in the body. And the lymphatic system, that's why cancers are called lymphomas. They're all lymphatic involved. So the one thing I learned in the woods is that your kidneys must filter. And when I brought that out and I started educating and making sure my patients were filtering, success was guaranteed. Guaranteed, unless you were pretty advanced. You look at someone like this. This is an advanced case of cancer. Okay? So these people like that are hard to save. But we get them, and you got to try. And it's all about acids versus alkalis. There's only two sides of chemistry. You argue all you want. And those two sides are defined by blood is alkaline and lymph deals with the acid side of chemistry. Blood can't deal with acids and alkali. And it's just stupid crap that's out there that you got to wheel in and get down and realize some common sense stuff.